Collette in Los Angeles. Hey, Collette, what's up?
Hi, Tom. I was just kind of wanted to dovetail in on the fact that capitalism and the development financially of this country is solely due to slavery. This country was built on the wealth of slavery, and I think that's an issue regardless of the tactical or the analytical part of what our forefathers came up with. Without that labor, this country would have never developed the way that it has. And in addition, we talk about today the working conditions. The problem is that the powers that be cannot move away from that model of slave labor. I'll take my response off there. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Collette. Yeah, I think that the legacy of slavery is still with us, and I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like institutional racism and structural racism and all those sorts of things. The institution of slavery was in early America was a classic expression of feudalism, of European feudalism. Basically, the peasants were slaves. They were the property, literally the property of the landowners. Slavery has been practiced in other forms by other names throughout history. The Greeks had slaves, the Romans had slaves. And you're absolutely right. This country would not have developed the way it did, or at least it wouldn't have developed as rapidly as it did without slave labor. And I believe this to be true. I read this in one of the histories of America some years back, that the quote value, and see it's represented as labor, but the quote value of all the slaves in the South was greater than all the industrial and land property in the North. So it was a very big deal. But I would say that the part of the legacy of slavery that's still with us is this idea that businesses are basically kingdoms, that labor is disposable, that if a company wants to, is in search of greater profits, they can simply pick up their factory and move someplace else. There's a fundamental question here, and this is the fundamental question that if you're going to have an argument with a libertarian, you want to ask: is the economy here to serve society, we the people? Or are we the people here to serve the owners, masters, overlords of the economy? Which is it? Now, libertarians would say the latter, that we the people are here to serve those who own the economy, the makers. We are the takers. Right? That would be their sales pitch. And that's essentially the Republican pitch. A Democrat or a progressive would say, no, the economy is here to serve we the people. Which raises the question, how do you construct an economy that serves the people? And, we've done this before, or at least an economy that served white men. We did this from the 30s to the 80s. And we could do it again in a far more inclusive way. And you do that by shifting power away from basically the feudal lords, the slave owners, whatever comparison you want to make, to the people, so that they're no longer slaves and serfs. They have some say in things. You could do this with economic co-ops. You do this with unions. You do this with labor-friendly policies like paid time off. In other words, setting the rules of the game by having government regulate the game of business. You can't exploit people beyond, in these ways. This is, no child labor. Here's a minimum wage. Here are workplace health and safety rules. Here are environmental pollution rules. And it's very straightforward stuff. But this is the core issue here.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.